Alright guys, you know the drill, let's talk about our favorite maniac in Edgerunners, Rebecca. There's lots of reasons why she is the best character, but it mainly boils down to her kit. Out of the entire gang, she's the only one that gets to use so many different weapon types and barely even focusing on cyber upgrades when it comes to combat. And besides, she's the only one to get her own weapon added in Cyberpunk 2077, so let's check her build and everything else you need to know about that. Now this build is very weapon centric, being capable of perfectly using almost any weapon type Cyberpunk has to offer. Mainly we'll focus on the shotgun though, since Rebecca uses them quite often, including the Guts shotgun that was just added in 1.6. It would be a massive waste not to use it given its insane spread that ensures you almost always hit the target as long as it's situated anywhere on your screen. Instead of that, in the anime, she seems to be using a custom version of the prototype Shingen SMG and the Prejudice assault rifle at the same time. This is also likely another rogue Easter egg, since Prejudice is one of the two guns that she uses and you can get it in the game too, and besides in the anime you can also see her admiring Rogue quite a bit. But let's also talk about the stats. In this case, we went with 18 into body, reflexes, and technical ability, with 12 points into cool, and about 2 attribute points left, so you can distribute them however you like, though I would recommend body for a simple reason, and that's because you're going to want to invest a lot of points into Annihilation. This is the one that focuses a lot on extra shotgun damage and all of the other good stuff. Noteworthy here are the 3 abilities onto the right side, making it easier to knock back enemies, dismember them, and with the unstoppable perk right here at the bottom, you get to increase your fire rate by up to 30% when you dismember enemies. This comes in quite handy since the Guts shotgun dismembers enemies all the time anyway, so definitely nice to have those bonuses. For even more damage with shotguns, you'll want to use Speed Demon to unlock more damage the faster you move. You can further couple this with the Movement Shift, Manic, and Blood Rush to get a lot of that every time you enter combat or defeat an enemy when carrying a shotgun. In the show, she isn't seen focusing too much on fitness, so in the athletics line, I only went with the Multitasker and Divided Attention, an absolute must if you want to be able to shoot and reload your weapons when sprinting, sliding, and vaulting. In the reflex line, we went with Assault. In Edgerunners, Becca uses a wide range of weapons, including assault rifles and submachine guns, and this will provide you with plenty of damage and better aim for both of them. What's noteworthy here about this category are the 2 perks called Feel the Flow and Shoot, Reload, Repeat, both of which will give you the possibility to almost instantly reload these 2 types of weapons, and that's where their power relies into. Basically, you're going to have minimum downtime when it comes to shooting and maximum damage output. In the cool category, as always, this is complementary and it's there to give us more bonuses and more defenses. In ninjutsu, we'll take Assassin as always for the extra damage against humans, and I'm also adding From the Shadows for the extra crit chance when entering combat. In the Cold Blood, we'll take the usual path, but this time around I'm adding a new one called Easy Out. This one increases our ranged weapon damage by 20% to enemies within a 5-meter radius. Since that's exactly what shotguns do, between this perk, the additional movement speed you get from Cold Blood, and the Annihilation line, you'll scale that damage even higher the more you move and the closer you get to your targets with the shotgun build. Now, technical ability is the new one here. With this setup, we have plenty points left to invest 18 into it, but it's useful for 2 main reasons. On one side, legendary crafting is a must with this build, not only giving you a massive armor boost from clothing, but also upgrading the Guts shotgun to legendary quality feels like something Rebecca would do anyway in the show, given the chance and given how much she loves that weapon. The second reason is the engineering line, which now also lets you play and use tech weapons to their full potential. Now, normally Becca doesn't seem to be using any tech weapons in the show, but there is a Satara shotgun being featured by a different character. So since there's a throwback at this awesome weapon in the anime, I thought this would be the perfect opportunity to put it at great use and not waste its amazing potential with this build. So in this case, we're taking all of these perks that let us overcharge tech weapons to to maximize that damage and, even more important, give us a lot of wall penetration. With this build and with the Sotara or the Nekomata, we can basically shoot enemies through walls, and it just feels like it synergizes so well with Rebecca's entire build. Now, as far as implants go, as I've said, there's not much to talk about here. We're going with heal on kill to make use of that reflex that we already got, and it's a no-brainer for the survivability. As always, getting a second heart and the biomonitor saves us a lot, especially since this entire footage was shot on very hard difficulty. Even in this case, I only died once, but it definitely came in handy, giving me 2 extra lives. Most important here are the KhrazeGaming upgrade with the maneuvering system, which gives you an on-demand slow time, including when you jump in the air. This also lets you kind of dodge in the air, and it just gives you the possibility to pull off these really cool and insane tricks between this and the shotgun. I'm not sure, it's just the perfect synergy, and I always tended to build around these two right here. But when it comes to operating systems, we're gonna ditch everything for the Berserk. Given Rebecca's personality, I think that this fits her the best. Despite it being a bit more melee-centric compared to some of the other operating systems, it's also great for bonus weapon damage and surviving, depending which one you get. Since I was playing on the highest difficulty and wanted a lot of survivability, I went with the Militech Berserk MK4 by default. This one again helps you with the weapon recoil and sway like pretty much any Berserk in the game, but also buffs your HP by a massive 40%, plus the 15% extra to armor and 10% to resistances. The cherry on top here is that it also heals you additionally every time you defeat an enemy, so it further stacks with a heal on kill. On a last note about this is that it also lasts for about 60 seconds, so you have a whole minute to be under this buff and almost never die because of all of the resistances and extra HP. By the way, you can buy this from Nina, the Ripper Dog in Charter Hill at around 29 street cred, but there's also an alternative version for more damage that comes in a bit earlier, which is the Biodyne MK4. So this one is not going to give you much survivability compared to the previous one, but it gives you that 20% extra range weapon damage if you want more damage and are happy enough with the survivability that you already have. In this case, it only requires 27 street cred, and you can buy it from the Ripper Dog right here in Japantown. That, or you can simply implement a synaptic signal optimizer. If you go with 18 or even more so 20 points into body, you can get either the epic or the legendary version, which increase your HP by another 50 to 60%. Again, you can purchase these from Nina in Charter Hill, so a lot of things in one single spot that make this build so complete. Now, I played again on the highest difficulty with this, and I had no problem surviving. Between the armor I already had from the legendary crafting, between all of the other stats and bonuses I would get from all of these abilities, I would be almost completely invincible no matter who I was fighting with. The power, or should I say the usefulness of this build, relies in its versatility. If you can't get close to an enemy with a shotgun, you can always switch to a different weapon, maybe an assault rifle or even a tac weapon, and just take them like that from afar. Especially with a Nekomata or a Sotara, you can always shoot them through walls, and it definitely makes some of the later sections a lot easier on the highest difficulty. Now, is it as balanced as it is in the anime? Well, not really. It's definitely a lot more OP in the final game than how Rebecca feels in the anime. Still, she does aim those headshots and take down enemies very easily, so at least that part is true even in Cyberpunk 2077. But let's just say that it gives you the possibility to more than easily take your revenge against certain characters in the full game compared to the anime, so I'm just gonna leave it at that. In any case, this is it with Rebecca's build. Totally let me know down below if you want to see any other characters from the crew and their respective builds. I'm pretty sure that with Rebecca we kinda covered all bases between her, Lucy and David, but as always, if you want to see something different, we can always maybe check out the main and some of the other characters. This is it, thanks so much for watching, and until next time.